Okay, good morning guys. A bit later than I expected today. I was on a call with Max, just trying to hash out some crystal collapse bits and bobs. Giving him a run through website development and goings on at that end, trying to finalise product weights and things like that so we can get the pre-orders up and live. Hopefully have them up end of this week, beginning of next. We'll start getting people's orders in for Crystal Collapse then. In the meantime, you guys saw me working on a well yesterday. This is not the well you saw. Let me put that one on. Okay, so we've now got 3 wells. So basically making like a little oasis. So the first well is this one, which I think I did on stream, I believe. In fact, I know I did because I remember sculpting the rope and having a discussion with it about you guys. What hell number is that? Most bizarre phone number that was. Okay, so we've then got this one, which is a partially kind of clad well. So we've got the mud brick is comprised of the brick, the mortar, and then the outer skin. So a little part of it at the bottom, and then the top of it is skin. So presumably it's so like the top doesn't cave in or something, give it a bit more strength at the top. And then we've got the pulley rope again. I've used the same pulley, just changed the mount. And then the final one is this big old unit over here. So you see it's significantly bigger than the others. Same kind of build as this one, but in a slightly different fashion. And they've asked for a big kind of water extraction dipper. So what I'm going to do is we're going to make like a Y frame from basically a big piece of wood stuck in the ground with a kind of a Y branch in it. And then in the Y frame we're going to put a pin through the arm, and then the arm's going to have a counterweight at the end, and then a big rope with a bucket on it. So basically you'd stand at the back, lift the weight up, the bar pivots at the pivot point, the bucket lowers into the water, and then when you let go of the thing, the counterweight drops again, the water lifts up, and you've got access to a bucket of water hanging on a rope. So I might put a little concrete trough to go with it as well. It can butt up against the side, or I might do that as part of the frame. Actually, that might be quite good. Morning, Rich. How you doing? Yeah, I think I might do a little concrete trough as part of the Y frame, so they can sit together. All good here, thank you, mate. The heat has kept my office warm, so it's cozy 19 degrees this morning. Not sitting here differing like I was yesterday. How you keeping, mate? Right, so I want the frame of the Y here to be, it's basically like a tree trunk, so it's got to be quite hefty. It's sat under a blanket, it's not a bad shout that, mate. I think I'll put it about that high for the pivot, and then let's go and duplicate that, turn it at 45 degree angle, shrink it down. So you bought it for the dog, but you stole it. Make this arm thinner. It's definitely his, you're just sharing it. Fair enough. Right, so this is going to be quite long, but I've got to be mindful it's still got to fit on the printer. So we're still restricted to that should be alright. What's the dimension of an X1 printer? Bamboo, I don't think it is. I think it's just wood, mate. Right, 121 width. So I can't really make the arm longer than 121. I can, because it can be angled upwards. In fact, it can stand upright at 155, but I don't think you'll be very happy about that, because that's it's going to take a long time to print, isn't it? Okay. So this. Ah, right. Sorry, mate. I thought you were talking about the bloody the stick I'm I'm making here. Right, so that's just shy of 120 centimeters. So. They're just going to be sold as prints, I think. So the stuff Footsore have done so far that I've made for them, terrain-wise, they're just selling the prints. So it's just got to be printable. It hasn't got to be castable. I'm going to pop that there like that. I think I'm going to put a pivot point in there, but I'm going to put the counterweight at the back, like a rock strapped to the. I think they wrap it in cloth usually. Morning Martin, Tracy and Grace, hope you're all keeping well, keeping warm in the freezing northern weather. Right then. That's that, and I need a pivot. Right, if I put that there, I can just boolean out a little notch out of the top. That'll be nice. That will actually. That'll work out pretty smart. Let's do that. merge that in with the stick then. And then what I'll do, I'll put another little stump there. So if I do that, so that post, well, the whole thing needs to be more this way, doesn't it? I think they want that to be really long. I don't know if that's as long as they're thinking it's going to be. So we make it about that long. We put a bucket on the end, and then the intention is then that this thing dips down. Let's just pop this pole here a second. Let's put that at a pivot point. Let's just see roughly where it ends up. Okay, so it's going to end up over here. Still in the middle of the well though, which is still a kind of building. So having this here, the bucket comes to the back edge. So that bit's unnecessary, don't need that. And we need a bucket. So going to Z. Let's go to Z model out. I just want to take the bottom line there. I'm going to go to crease, edge loop complete. I want to crease that whole bottom line. You can see this like weird little dotty line that happens here. It shows you it's creased. And the top we're going to do the same. And then when I divide this, the top edges are going to stay sharp. Okay, I'm going to polish it. I'm going to bump the resolution to about 250, 270 to 202. Duplicate the bucket. Shrink the bucket, bring it down, elongate it a touch. There we go. Right, so let's boolean that one out from the first one. Merge down, redo Dynamesh. There we go, now we've got a bucket. I've got a concern, I think that bucket's going to be a bit too thin. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to isolate the internal part of the bucket. Centralise that, I'm going to bring it to the very, very top. And then I'm going to shrink, which will basically reduce all the polygons internally. Make the walls thicker, but because I've got this set at the top, it's all going to be shrinking towards this point, which means the top stays flat. If I'd have left that in the middle down here, then the top would pull downwards, which is not what I want. There we go. Also good. Now I could turn that into a wooden bucket. I could leave it as metal. Not really sure what to do for the best on this one, because it's historical. I kind of think I'm going to go for a wooden bucket, but then I also expect I'm going to get a phone call saying, can you not make it wooden? It could just be a metal bucket. I think all the reference pictures they sent me were metal buckets, but let me just double check. Morning Spider, how are you doing today? Right. So some of them don't have a bucket at all on there. Some of them have got like a metal bucket, some of them have got what appears to be some kind of like a skin. I don't know if I should hang back on it a little bit and just ask them what they want. Yeah, I'm good, thanks mate. Heater's worked in the office today, so it's toasty warm today. Starting at 19 degrees rather than 5, so it's a bonus. Like a feel my fingers while I'm working, so it's all good. Questions asked now. So let's park the bucket for now and come back to this bit. So basically, I don't know. Hey Roval Jacks, how you doing? Thanks for hanging around. Thank you for the lurk. So yeah, so basically the problem I've got is I don't know if this, because this is a historical piece, I can't go and use like my creativity to do things. I have to have reference for it. And obviously the problem with historical reference when you're dealing with buildings is the building materials don't tend to hang around that long. But there will still be people out there who will claim they're an expert on the matter and they'll have an opinion on it and they'll know better. So you got to look at kind of like different building techniques and materials and stuff that are around at the time. We know in the deserts they would have used obviously animal skins for things, for carrying water. They've obviously got wood to make things like tent poles and you know the cradles for the wells and things like that. So they've got wood available to them, so wooden buckets are not out of the realms of possibility. They're also making weapons and things like that out of metal, so we know they can work metal, so it could be a metal bucket. However, what they historically would have used, I have no bloody clue. So I'm hoping Mark or Andy or George can chip in on that one and give me some steering. So whilst they're doing that, whilst I'm waiting for them, I'm going to leave my bucket. I'm going to go back to the Y-frame for the piece here. I'm going to separate out the arm and its pivot. Just temporarily. So a quick sign. I'm going to merge this lot together and I'm going to start texturing it with like wood grain and things like that. Okay, so Dynamesh at about 2.8 you'll do. The building yesterday, yeah, let me show you what we got. So, where did I get to? So I did all of these bits, the walls, finished all of them off, got them all sent over. The building here, they've done a test print of that. I've not seen a test print now, so I assume everything went alright, but let me just put it up on screen and show you. There we go. So that building obviously that's been sent over to them for test printing, so they're going to be giving that a go. The walls are all done, and then on the one here now, this is what I did yesterday. So we've got the wells, and I built. I don't remember. I can't remember how much of this I did on stream and how much I did off stream, but I did the tree basically. So we've got like the palm tree. There's a bit of a leaf I've not shown. There it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a selection of different leafy canopies they'll have like a little plug at the top which will just plug into the top of the tree trunk. Then we'll have a selection of different tree trunks, so there'll be some longer ones, there'll be some shorter ones, some fat ones, some thin ones. We'll put a couple with bends in them, and from a selection of different size canopies. Oh, Mark's come back saying skin, so we'll see. Let me just pose a question to him though, because cheers, spider. So yeah, so we've got the we've got one palm there. So the plan is do a little. It's not a forest of palms, is it? What do you call it? Like a little cluster of palm trees. Maybe about half a dozen variety different ones. And then we get this dipper going on, and let me just merge these down at the moment so I can actually move the tree. Oh, bollocks. There we go, one multicoloured tree. So let's get this bad boy textured. And it needs a base. I think we're going to put like a little mud brick trough at the base of it as well. I have to say I'm getting sick of mud bricks now. It's alright though, because I'm doing tents after this. Right, now this is just me being me, but this needs to be asymmetrical. Right, now again, this is in the desert. It will have had the bark all stripped off, it will be bleached and all sorts of stuff, right? So probably not entirely appropriate for it to be completely round either, to be fair, so I might just give it a little squash. Okay, let's just get some texturing on the ends. In fact, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to use that stamp I used yesterday. So go to brushes, I'm going to go to my custom brushes menu, go to wood and planks, and there was a, where was it now? Quite early on I think it was, there was a wood, that one. Right, now that graininess has happened because I've got the Sculptress Pro mode on, so I need to take that off for this bit. No, I'm lying to you. It's happening because I haven't got enough resolution in the mesh. That was me thinking it was down to Sculptress Pro. It might be a Sculptress Pro mode as well. But okay, so there is the end of the wood grain. I'll do the same over here, but I'm going to try and just vary the angle. Okay, the guys are coming back saying skin. It is. I don't want the grain on this to be too I want this to be a very light surface texture. I don't want anything too deep on it. So one of the things that's nice to do with the wood grain is when you do it, you try and keep the strokes a lot long and flowing. You don't want them to be too straight, give them a little bend. And then when you do the next one, you're bending it. If you end up with any like significant gaps between, you can just come in between and just add a tiny little bit. It makes it look like there's a little nodule there, a little node. where there would have been a branch or something at some point that's been stripped back or cleaned off. So you don't need to worry about everything being parallel, about everything being neat and regular. It's nature. You definitely don't need to worry about it. There we go. Now what I can do is I can bring that into here. Some of those grains, what I want to do is I want to bring them right down and crack them in. I'm going to do that. I'm going to get to the top. We're going to run it through this way as well. We're going to deepen those cracks so they're consistent. Morning Bunker, how you doing mate? Oh, I use Spider, so I've got a gaming PC with a 3090 graphics card, i7, it's not a i7 actually, it's a Ryzen 9 I think it is, can't remember off the top of my head, but it was a i7 equivalent and 64 gig of RAM. And I'm drawing on an Huion Canvas 20. I don't think they do the 20 anymore. They do the 20. They do 19 and they do a 22. And I think I don't know if they've just released it, but they do a 24 now as well. That's just the monitor size. Mine's a 20-inch. But it's got a kind of a. I don't know. I like the feel of it on the thing. I prefer it to the Wacom. Yeah, I can't remember the what do you call it now? It's like I've got a Surface Pro 9 as well, which I use for like a bit more mobile sculpting. So if I go on holiday and I want to take something and do a bit of work on the evening, I'd use that, and it works fine, except obviously you don't have the keys accessible. But what I do miss with that is it's got a very high gloss surface. It's got a weird kind of like feel to it when you've been working on this. This has got that nice like that sound. And you don't really get that with the thing. You don't get the same kind of feedback from the pen. There's no feedback. It's not haptic stylus or anything like that, but you don't get that kind of the same feel to it. And I do miss that a bit when I use the Surface Pro. Yeah, I used to have a Wacom. What's it now? It was a Cintiq Companion. So it's like the 13-inch kind of portable PC version. I think it's the Mobile Studio they call it now. It's a really good bit of kit, to be fair, for kind of sculpting on the fly, because you've got the hotkeys down the side of the screen. So The Surface Pro doesn't have any keys or anything on it. It's just a flat tablet, so you have to use plug-in keypads and things like that if you want to get your hotkeys in there for ZBrush. But the the Cintiq Companion has all the keys on there. So as I say, the Mobile Studio now, but they have all the keys on it, and they're really good bits of kit. The only problem I had was mine stopped working. It got to a point where I started turning it on. It'd stay on for like 2 minutes, and then it would heat up ridiculously hot at the bottom of the tablet and just shut down. And it wasn't turning off and shutting down. It would just go off, and then when I tried to turn it back on again, it'd fire back up, and then it'd stay on for a lot less time. And when I contacted Wacom and I said, like, you know, I could do with booking a repair or something like that, they were like, yeah, we don't support that model anymore. It's an expensive paperweight. They don't make parts for it. They don't support it at all. So I'd be wary of buying another Wacom product, because, like, again, you know, I've probably had it since. I mean, when I had it when it first came out. So I mean, I don't even know when that was. Let's have a little look. It's only gone wrong last year. So 2015 they released it. So alright, so I'd had it for about eight years probably. Yeah, that sounds about right actually. It's probably about 8 years old. It still worked. It still worked fine right up until it didn't. You know what I mean? It was just all of a sudden. But in an 8 year span, they've just completely ceased support for it, which pissed me off a little bit. And obviously everything's integrated, so there's no chance of like doing a kind of a DIY repair or anything like that. So, you know, you're stuck with it, unfortunately. Okay, so that's the bit there done. Let's save that. So I'm going to put a little trough in front, and then I'll do the wood grain on the arm, because I don't fancy wood grain in that again after I've just done the tree. Mix it up a little bit. So we'll add a little brick trough. Now I think I'm going to be better off adding the trough to the Y-frame or doing it as a freestanding piece, because I know when the guys build this, they've got to get this on the build plate, on the air printer, and this piece here is 80 mil, I think. Yeah, so it's 80 millimeters wide, which means that the. Let me just double check the dimensions of the printer again. This is one of the things you got to consider when you're doing things for resin printing. You've got to consider the print bed. Do you want do you want the object to have to be cut up, or do you want it to be something you can just fit on? So if I just go to this one here, so 68 mil wide is the narrowest point. So if I made that well 12 mil shorter or 12 mil smaller, it will fit flat on the bed. So that can then print print flat, which they'll probably appreciate because it'll save them some headache time. Do you know what? It doesn't need such a big well on it, does it? Okay, so now we're standing at so that's 1, 2, 3.5. So that'll be 65mm diameter. That's perfect. That's just a shade narrower than the width of the bed, which means you should get hopefully 2 of them on one build plate, or at least 1 and the rest of the bits. Although knowing George, you'll rotate it at 90 degrees and print 8 of them on the plate instead. So we'll see how he goes. His choice. But doing that, shrinking the size down, means that this trough can go in there then. I'm not going to put a base on the trough, I'm just going to build the trough. Set my booleans, let's go. Again, we're not dealing with cast concrete or anything like that, so I've got to soften the edges. This is like mud that's been caked on. Now I presume this is how they would make this if they're going to do a little trough, because that's how they make everything else. But do imagine that once you've got this mud on here in a desert setting, that rain might rehydrate it. Now, I could be wrong, but your clean water may end up turning all murky and muddy. But equally, if they don't have concrete, or maybe they did, maybe they used maybe they did have a kind of a concrete type material, because we know the ancient Romans did. And this is obviously quite significantly later than ancient Rome, so there's no reason they couldn't have had access to concrete. Historically, I don't know if they did, but in fact, by all accounts, ancient Roman concrete's badass. It's self-healing. rounding out the internal edges. This is one of the times when I'll use the clay brush. Because for this particular task here, the clay brush is the least aggressive way of building up building up material. This just gives it an uneven surface, it makes the surface a little bit undulating, so where I've got something that is effectively a flat box at the moment, I don't want that, so I'm just going to use some of this stuff stacked up. This is the orb rock noise. Now if I put this really intense and show you what it looks like, it basically does that, so it kind of creates a kind of a little rocky surface. When you use it with a very low intensity, it kind of adds a bit of undulation to the surface of the model, with a couple of like angular changes and facets, which looks quite nice. And then the texture we've been applying to all of the Adobe stuff is this orb rock noise. In fact, that's what I just told you the thing was, isn't it? Orb rock detail was the other brush, sorry. The orb rock noise, this adds this kind of like, it's like an irregular, scattered kind of rock texture to it. Painting it all over quite densely using a small brush so I can get a kind of a, I want it to look like mud, so basically once it's painted they can dry brush it and it will just pick up a little bit of surface detail. Then I'm going to come in and put some cracks in it, so I'm going to bump the intensity up, reduce the size down. There's always a bit of a thing with these, is do I sculpt water into it, or do I just leave it so you can paint it all up yourself, and then if you really want to, you can just chuck a bit of water effects in there or some clear resin or something? Right, so the guys have come back and they've voted for a skin on the Morning, Aid, how you doing, mate? Bunker, what has the client suggested, or have they just gave it to you and said, this is what we want? Yeah, they kind of have. They've given me like a folder full of reference material, like photographs and stuff. And again, it's like I was saying earlier, the problem we always have is that you're dealing with something that's like from the 1400s, give or take. So, over the course of 600 years, any bits of wood have rotted and gone. Any leather has, disintegrated. You might find little bits of ironwork and stuff like that, but generally speaking, most of the original structures are gone. So unless you've got any kind of like drawn reference material, or like tapestries and things like that depict these things, you don't really know what they look like, and even then, the depictions tend to be quite crude. So you kind of have to take a educated guess based on, they had certain technologies, they had certain techniques available to them. There's certain little bits of stuff that exist that you can kind of say, well, here's the ironwork, here's the ironmongery, whatever. And then there's other things where you've got quite primitive, let's say you're out in the desert now, for example. Some of the more primitive methods of like gaining water out of a well, for example, are probably still in use. And where they're really simple and primitive and they don't really need any modern technology, it's not a far cry to say actually they could have done this back then. So there's certain aspects of this is what we think is there, and then there's also aspects of here's some reference material of things that we know was there. You have to kind of take the two and meld them together and come up with something that's believable. And that can be quite tricky, because no matter how good you think you've done, there's always a history buff out there who knows better, who's going to call you on it. We had a whole thing when I made the village for them. We made all these houses with thatched roofs and stuff, and I did all the thatching, and it was, what did I do now? It was like it's like stepped thatching, so like it was in layers, and it's definitely a thing. I've seen actual pictures of it like this, and we used some photographic reference from basically a modern reconstruction of a medieval village. We used some photographs of it, but again, even that, the modern reconstruction is this is what we think a medieval village would have looked like, because the medieval village doesn't actually exist anymore. There's no remnants of it left because of the building materials used. So you have to kind of take information that's available to you and extrapolate it in a kind of a reasonable way. But then there's still people who will come and call you out and tell you that that's not how they thatched a roof in the Dark Age. It's like, well, prove it. You can't just tell me that. Prove it. Tell me how it is. Show me how it is. You know, give me the correct answer. I'll sort it. But can't just tell me that's not how it was done. You know, were you there? Right, so we're going to do the old rope effect on this again, but I need to put the skin on the end now. Let's put a little sphere in. Let's use a sphere for the skin. I'm going to flatten it down. Oh, just on a complete dad tangent here now. I felt ever so sorry for my little girl this morning. I was taking her into school, and we picked up a friend on the way in because her sister's ill and her mum's got to stay home with her and stuff. So picked up a friend from her house, walked down, and as they were walking, they were playing, and she's like running ahead and having a little whale of a time or whatever. And then she stacked it. She just went arse over tit, hit the deck. Ripped the knees open on her tights, mortified that she ripped her tights, and then she saw the blood gushing out. She like gouged all her knees and everything. She was absolutely beside herself, so I ended up having to carry her into school covered in blood and snot and tears. It's never fun. Where's my man? There he is. Right, so I want the water skin to be about that big, I think. Right, so this is the photo they've just sent me. So this is the skin we're working with. So it looks like four corners, all pinched up, with something hanging off to take it up to the rope. How do I connect the rope to the skin strings? How shall I handle that? Maybe I just need to put a knot in it or something like that, and then have the strings coming out. Right, so the rope's going to come down. Come down. Oh, I need it. Give me a second, guys. I've got a bit of reference rope here. undo a load of that. So right goes down and then comes. What's going on? So right comes down and we've got a comes out underneath and it goes around and then back around until it comes in on itself. So. Over the top and then into there, and it's going to come back out again. So guys, one of these random little ones, but let me show you. So I actually have a bunch of rope in my office so that I can test how knots are supposed to look. Because I really struggle with knots sometimes. So if I have to tie it onto something, it's like when you come to the Y-frame and things like that. If I need to tie it onto something, I can actually wrap it round and I can actually look at how the rope looks. So it is always good to have reference of any kind to make your work a little bit more believable. And anybody who says you're not a real artist if you're having to copy stuff is an idiot. So having experience as an artist means that you've got muscle memory, you've got a visual library, you've got a bank of things that you've practiced drawing. But if somebody turns around to you, or somebody turns around to me, like, you know, says, "Oh, can you make me a Chinook helicopter?" I'll be like, "Yeah, sure." But I'm going to be using reference all the way through because I have no bloody idea about how it looks. It's going to look like Budgie the helicopter if I'm left to my own devices and try and wing it without reference. So yeah, until you're, I mean, I'm quite comfortable right now that I can do, like, you know, believable anatomy without having to look at things. I still look at reference, but I'm practiced enough with things like, you know, armour, clothing, drapery, etc, etc. I don't need to have like loads and loads of visual reference for it, but sometimes it's still nice to have it there to kind of look at. However, when it comes to technology and sci-fi type things, yeah, I need reference for that because I haven't got enough of a kind of a mental visual bank to draw down on. You know, if I make 1,000 models of a helicopter, or, you know, maybe not even 1,000, let's say I make 10 models of helicopters, I can probably then go and make my own helicopter in a believable way with, you know, mechanisms and parts and things like that that would make you believe I knew what I was doing. It was a real thing. Right, so there's me knot. So I think I've sculpted 2 low down, so let me just move it up a bit. Cheers, Bonker. Now that I've got the rough shapes in there, I'm polishing them up so that they work as intended. Little tip for you: when you're sculpting cloth on miniatures, don't leave anything to chance. Always control everything. These like the sharp edges here, we want to make sure they're in exactly where I want them to be. I've done all of that. I just need to soften the sharp edges. In fact, I need to bring these up in, I think. Right, I've got 4 little ropes coming from this here now into there, but I want to keep them short and I want to make sure that is rigid. So I'm doing it so like the strands of the rope have been untwisted at the bottom and then fed through. So I'm going to put these knots. Oh God, son of. Put these knots on the outside here. So I want the rope to be about as thick as that. Pull these up a bit, just to make sure they're I'm gonna leave that central rope in. I wasn't going to, but I think it's gonna need it for the strength. I've got a feeling those little ropes I've put there, as much as they look right, I think they're gonna be too weak. Let's save this, get some texturing on the rope. And I need to do the wrap around the top then. So my little demo rope's going to come in handy again. So I think if I put a notch in the end of the thing, a notch in the end of the wood, the string can hang down off the notch. dear, Max has just sent me a picture. Looks like somebody might have just break in. Oh, Max is working with me on Crystal Collapse. He's just sent me this picture. Basically, he's just popped out to the shops. He's come back, and he's obviously that's just somebody's just tried to break into his house, and they've smashed the door frame. They kicked the door in by the look of it. People are scumbags, aren't they? Well, I don't know, it looks like he's just got back, so hopefully they didn't. Morning, Bill. How are we keeping, mate? Yeah, it's a nice bit of a change, isn't it? Doing the doing terrain instead of miniatures. I've enjoyed doing the terrain. It's like nice to be able to kind of show some of it online as well. Do you know, I'm just wondering actually. I was going to undo loads of this now. Let's activate symmetry on it a second. I'm wondering if I... Oh shit, it's not going to work, is it? Will it work if I do radial with 2 counts? Yes, it will. There we go. That's sped up my roping. So there you go. Make sure the rope's straight. Make sure it's made on a cylinder. Put radial symmetry on with a Y, with a count of 2. Basically, whatever I sculpt on the front gets sculpted on the back, but the opposite way, rather than the symmetry, which will basically bring everything to a peak. And all I've got to do then is just go around the back edge after it's done, connect the dots, Hoorah! Far more efficient. So what you've been working on, Bill? Right, now here's following on from what I said yesterday about the it'd be nice if we had preferences being saved, because we don't have preferences being saved. I want to make sure I write this down. My rope brush Z intensity 20, draw size 30.69679. Focal shift minus 56. So if I have to come back and do more rope and have to change the settings in the meantime, I can always come back to that now, and I've got my rope settings written down. Let's just come to the side here. I'm just going to do some little bits of making up on this. Bit of making good. Ah, you and me both, mate. Been building the Crystal Collapse website from scratch, because basically we were going to host it on my Lion's Tower website. I've put a placeholder page on there for it, but when we've actually looking at it, my website's so busy with stuff, with so many models on there in STL and resin format, we didn't want to confuse things and muddy the waters. And we want the Crystal Collapse website to be a resource for the game, as well as for the a shop to be able to buy the things from. So to that end, we said we'll just make a bespoke website for it instead. Yeah, totally lots of work. But worth doing, isn't it? It's one of them. Right, so that's going down there, so that's going to go this way around. See, one of the things I'm struggling with on ours at the moment is I need to try and build it into like a sales funnel, so that when people come to the website, they they can come there for anything, but ultimately once they arrive, we want to funnel them into a an actual purchase, ideally. To basically make the buying as easy as possible and put it in as many places as we can. And then once they've got a sale in the basket, like upsell. Yeah. See, I've got my main store in Shopify, and I do like Shopify. It was very easy to set up a store, but then I've used WordPress for Crystal Collapse. And the main reason I've changed and deviated is, as good as Shopify is as a storefront, doesn't really have any like support for enhancing the rest of the website. It's like with for Crystal Collapse, for example, one of the things we're doing on there, I'll set up like gamification on the site. So, in fact, you know what? Let me show you this, because I'm quite pleased with the way this has happened. Well, I say it's happened. The way I've made it work, like it's an accident. Do you know what I mean? Hey, Grimsy, do you want me to teach you on the ZBrush, or you want to be taught about website building or e-commerce, or what is it? ZBrush, well, you're in the right place. If you've got any questions, you fire away. I actually do one-to-one tuition. If you go over to patreon.com/LTminis, I do have a learning, well, a one-to-one coaching tier. So you get a couple of hours a month with me, to where we can go through one-to-one, look at your work, do some critical reviews, set you some tasks and some homework, kind of get you to improve. But if you, while I'm on stream, you ask away, you got any questions, I'm always happy. The thing I would notice, I do sculpt everything. So like these ropes, design guns, I can do, I have done. The thing is, the way I work is I work in a kind of a sculpty way. So when I do guns, I do them in a kind of like for sci-fi, I tend to kind of like, it'll be like make a block, shape a block, add to it, you know, move things around. Morning, Ginge, how you doing, mate? Well, afternoon even now, crikey. Time is going. So yeah, so it's all just the same process I'm doing here now, really, but with a bit more the hard surface aspect. Just save this. All right, fair enough. Thanks for lurking. Okay, so at the top of this rope now. I need some ring. Well, let's do the wood first. Let's make the wood into wood. Can you post links in? You can. You can also, if you join on the Discord, you can post stuff into the Discord, and I can pick them up from there. Bunker, are you awake? Are you available? Let's see if we get in. Okay, I know it's my own chat. You'd have to remind me the rules. You beat me to it, Bunker. Legend as always, thank you, matey. It's not working. Ah, shit, that's fine. Hang on, mate. Me failing, this is. I hope this is going to work now. So the plug-in thing I have to run to make all of the chat commands work. Stupidly, I forgot to turn it on. I'm just logging into it now, but I'm hoping it'll actually still be effective. So I'm sure the instructions are run it and then. Come on. Thanks for the follow, Grimsy. Come on, mix it up, sort yourself out. For God's sake, come on, what are you waiting for? When it loads in, I'll repost that Discord link and we'll see if it can. Right, now we're on. Oh, for God's sake! Thinks I'm not a bloody Twitch. Do this another time because I think it's going to end up logging me out or it's going to cause some problems. Bonk, can somebody in the chat do the exclamation mark Discord? In fact, you know what? I can do it for now. Ah, cheers, Bonker. No worries, Bill. Right then, peeps. Let's do the wood grain on this big stick. So I'm going to group it, Dynamesh to about 400 resolution. And then on the end, let's get that the wood surface. I'll put it on both ends. I don't think I'm going to use it on the bottom. I think the bottom's going to have like a wrapped weight around it or something. Well, it's going to be a nuisance now because I've got a really long length for this to do. I can't really see what I'm doing, but this is just orb cracks with a low-ish intensity. That'll do actually. That'll do quite nicely. Right, I'm going to come back in with the intensity bumped up, the draw size knocked down. Just want to do some of these little bits here. Just going to take it out into the. We're in the desert. The wood out here is going to dry up no end, which means we're going to have lots of cracks in the wood. I'm not going to bother doing the bottom end because that's going to be, I say, wrapped. What I do want is a notch in the wood at the end. Right, and so we're going to have, and I'm still not sure this is the best way of me doing this, but just go into my stroke menu, curves. I want bend start, bend end, lock start, lock end. Everything else I'll just leave off for now. Let me just hide my rope. Ah, you bugger. Hey, no worries, Spider. Thanks for tuning in. Just dropping into the chat. Welcome anytime. Just thought I need this one actually to be just dynamesh them, and then we're going to go back to the clay brush. And then add this set to, I think the draw size, I think I had at 30.69679. Everything else is fine settings wise. Hey Grimsy, let's have a look. What are you on? Oh, right, I see. Let's have a little look. Okay, so you've made this in ZBrush out of all cubes, have you? Out of all squares? Daft question. Have you tried the gun kit that comes with the ZBrush? I think it comes with it. Yeah, the IMM gun. Have you tried using any of those pieces? Yeah, it's literally in there at the beginning. So if you click on it, look, you can get something different. But just insert a gun. Oh yeah, let me just make Polymesh 3D. There you go. So that's the kind of the template. I say template one. It's a stock one. It's kind of done. It's made. But what you can do with this one, obviously, it just shows you an idea of how to assemble bits. But you can, because it's all polygrouped, you can isolate the specific bits and kind of interrogate and see how they've made it, like which pieces they've used and whatnot. And as you go across, you've got like, I'll just change this. You've got like a gun base with the trigger obviously and a handle. So this is kind of what they call it, like a bullpup handle, is it? You've got assault rifles, various different kind of like shapes and profiles to them. Handgun. This one's a little bit of a naughty one because the mesh is obviously inside out. Yeah, Dynamesh it, you can see it obviously solidifies it properly, but by default they've got some of the faces pointing the wrong way, which is, it's less than ideal, but you know. But all of this kind of stuff, it just gives you a good starting point. You know, it saves you having to like reinvent the wheel. The only thing I would advise you is, like, if you're looking for this for miniatures, these kind of pieces are okay. They're all fine as, you know, stock components until you get to things like this. When you come to bits like this where there's a hollowing and it's like a tube, you need to basically fill the ends of the tube. You can't have the hollows if you're doing 3D printing. If it's not for 3D printing, it doesn't matter, but things like this here, the wall thickness of this is too thin in a miniature, so you'd have to you could use this, but you'd have to like insert a cylinder into it to make it kind of solid, or use ZModeler to kind of remove some of the internal faces and then just close the opening at the end. But yeah, you can do, they've got loads of stuff. Some of these bits, again, these bits are too thin, so if you're going to use bits like this, you're going to need to thicken them up and do some extra work on them and stuff like that as well. These bits here, little ridges, they're not ideal for making miniatures. But even these individual pieces, what you can do is auto group them, and all of the individual bits can be worked on and modified. So even though they look like they're a single polygroup when they load in, almost all of these pieces are made out of multiple parts. This one's not, obviously. Oh, it is, sorry. Two separate pieces. Things like this, obviously, again, the profile of them is too thin for printing. So if you're going to use them, you need to make sure you've got a way of solidifying them. And you can do it as crudely as just, and I've done this before with things like this, but let's say you've got that. you want that to be solid, so you've got it in on the model. You just go over to that mesh insert dot, fill it with spheres, select that as the active mesh, and then you can like trim away all of the excess. And that fills the it fills the interior of the model, but without actually so it will make it printable, but it will make it like solid and printable. So the inside can be as rough and dirty as you want it to be. You don't need to be precious about it. The outside's the bit that matters. So as long as the outside is clean and crisp and looks the part, then yeah, you've got what you need. But again, when you're doing stuff from reference like this, it's always worth. Yeah, you could chuck a cube down the middle. I've literally just done this just to illustrate. There's lots of ways of doing it. There's no kind of like, don't kind of pigeonhole yourself into thinking again it's got to be a cube. In fact, you sometimes will find that as you assemble the gun, these kind of bits will hollow out and they'll fill out anyway. Because presumably this looks like a grip or like a cap for a stock or something like that. And if that is the case, then you're going to be putting it onto a body, and the body's going to have like stuff already in it, isn't it? It's going to have like a solid mass that you can build onto. Do you know, I was going to show you a little bit of website, weren't I? Actually, there's a little bit of something I've done on here which I'm quite pleased with. I'm going to show you my crystal collapse site we've been building. So we've got the models in there for, to buy now. We've got the English and German editions of the deluxe game and the core game. This is still not a live website at the moment, so you won't be able to go and visit it just yet. But one of the things I'm pleased with that I've put in here is this. On my account here, we've got this guild ranking. So basically, we've got the Valeria Crystal Seekers Guild, which basically you join by signing up for an account on a website essentially. And I've gamified it, so by signing up you get the rank initiate, you get your guild badge, and then your next rank is Squire. To get a Squire rank you have to like earn 25 crystal shards. So it says your current balance of crystal shards is 4. Now I've got 4 because I've signed in 4 times to the website since I've activated this plugin. So every time you sign in you get a crystal shard. It says your achievements list is as follows, and then there'll be a list of achievements here, but the achievements badges and the achievement names are hidden until you achieve them. And then there'll be a list of actions here for, you know, how do you earn achievements. So we'll have things like, you know, friend of Basalia, friend of Varland, friend of Geisha, and you'll get them by buying, you know, one or more sets of models, or one or more models from that faction. Sorry, you'll get this one here. Purchase a Crystal Collapse Core or Deluxe Edition game. You'll get the achievement called Let's Play from that one. So make a purchase in the store will earn you points and get you achievements. Commenting on posts and interacting with the website in various different ways will earn you shards. Product reviews being left on the website will earn you shards, and you can kind of like raise your ranking in the guild. Now at the moment it doesn't really kind of play into anything, it's just bragging rights and a little bit of fun. But later on we may tie it into things like discounts and loyalty bonuses and things like that. So we've got to have a look and see how we want to use it. But for now, it's just a nice little gamification bit on the website that I liked. So we've got the Cheers bunker. We go onto the lore page. We go onto Valyria, and basically we've got the artwork for the kingdom. We've got a little background story about what's going on and how it's all set. Another little snippet of the kingdom. Then we've got the world map with the territories marked up, and an explanation of the territories and the factions you can play as. These are just placeholders for blog articles that we haven't written any yet, so there's nothing in there to pull through. We've got another section which isn't on here at the moment, but it's how to play. So we can go to About Crystal Collapse. This tells you how me and Max kind of got together and ended up doing the game. Our approach to it, a little bit of background about us behind the game, if that makes sense, rather than the game itself, what we're trying to offer. And the final bit is there's nothing in here at the moment, but in lore we've got the Heroes of Valyria. So you'll go to House Basalia, for example, and on here it tells you about the House Basalia, shows you their faction crest, gives you the links to go and buy the models for them. But here we'll have all of the characters from that faction with their stats and everything listed, and their PDF downloads for their character cards, their artwork, their miniatures and everything else, and then their little backstory and stuff like that. So you'll get to know the characters here, and as we add new characters to the factions, we'll add new characters to here, and you'll be able to go and use it as a kind of a faction builder. Decide which ones you think you want to add to your party, and go and grab the ones you want. We may actually build a faction builder app in here as well. But we'd add a Vaughn to do that, so we'll have to have a chat to him and see if it's viable. So yeah, so it's all happening. It's nearly done. Just waiting for some final bits of artwork that Max is pulling together. But obviously the attempted burglary today is probably going to put a little bit of a dampener on that, giving me a little bit of a delay on it, but it's not the end of the world. Right then, back to some sculpting. But I might have to stop and take a quick loo break, grab a coffee before I resume. So I'm going to pop you guys on a BRB. When I come back, I'm going to finish off this the Big Dipper, the water dipper. We'll finish that off, and I'll send some snaps over to the gents over at Footsore for approval. So do not go away, guys. I'll be back in a minute. So go and have a little buy. Bonker, if you want to pop your link in the chat, feel free. Grab yourself some referral credits. Guys, there is a sale running in the store at the moment, so if you're buying any STL files, they're all 40% off. It's automatic. The discount will be applied when you get to checkout. If you buy any resin miniatures, it's a 20% discount across the board, and the discounts will combine. So if you buy both resin and STLs, you'll get a little bit of both. So head over to the website, have a little browse, see if anything takes your fancy. And I'll be back with a cup of coffee in a minute, so do not go away, and I'll catch you shortly, guys. Use Bunker's link there in the chat, okay, guys? Help him out. He gets a little backhander if you buy through that link, and you get the benefit of his discount as well. So, okay, guys, I'll catch you shortly. See you in a minute. Hey guys, back again. Let's get myself sat down. Kind of frozen myself out just by going outside. Okay, so we've got the rope just to finish up here now. Send a quick message. So we're going to add a weight to the bottom. There's two ways I can do this. I can either wrap a bag around it, which I think I might do, or I could do a simple rock. You know what, let me put that to the guys again. Do the base while we wait for him to reply. Nice, making a little puddle base, nice and easy. Where's my little dude? Over. So I know the thickness of his base is correct, right? So I'm just going to reduce this down. go. Divide that a couple of times so it just smooths out the edge. It's probably going to want to do a little bit of counterbalance, so that's probably about right. Add some resolution to it, polish it and dynamesh it. Mask the bottom off so it doesn't go through. Okay, the first thing we're going to do, I'm just going to put a little bevel on the edge, so I'm just going to chamfer it off using trim dynamic. Guys, give me a second, I've just got the wife calling. Okay guys, back in the room. Right, what have they replied? A rock would be a good look. Big bag. Oh yeah, all I love a big bag on both ends. Okay, so we'll put the rock on the top here. I'm going to flatten this out, make it into a big flat rock. Oh, that tree is pissing me off now. I'm going to have to hide that. Getting in my way. I think what I'm going to do as well, I'm going to make this the bottom of this a little Y shape, so this rock can be kind of tied into it. While I'm sculpting this, I'm thinking I should have put the rock on the bottom, shouldn't I? That'll probably make more sense when it's have the rock hanging underneath rather than mounting on the top, which is just frankly stupid. Why couldn't I have had that lovely common sense before I started sculpting all these ropes? So I'm going to get this rope textured all the way around, and then I'm going to rotate the pole. And hopefully rotating the pole, put the rock at the bottom of the thing, and I think it should look lovely. Now if I was doing rope on a larger scale, I'd probably be doing a second pass on the rope to add fibre detail, which would take an awful lot of time for this much rope, but for a model of this size, unnecessary. because by the time it's been printed and painted, you're not going to get any of the fibre detail showing up on the model. And a really detail-centric miniature painter will put strand detail onto the rope anyway by hand without a sculpted guide for it. As in, I'll freehand the detailing. In fact, I saw a quite impressive model at one point, which it was painted by Laura at Table Flip Foundry, Ty's partner, and she's a brilliant miniature painter, absolutely fantastic. But she gets a little bit jaded with it from time to time. I don't know if she doubts herself or if she just gets fed up of doing it, you know, as a commission thing. But she did a commission, it was somebody's World of Warcraft character, and they managed to get the character ripped from the game. And I don't know if you've ever seen the game meshes for World of Warcraft characters. They are bloody awful. There's nothing to them, there's no detail on them. They're just clunky, chunky kind of, you know, box models kind of thing. They look really awful. But from the model, you would never know it was a character for this customer. So she had to get the colour render of it and hand paint all of the detail from her character, from this character, onto this boxy model. And by the end, she'd done such a good job of all this hand painted detail, you'd have sworn it was sculpted on. So you should never underestimate the power of a good paint job. And equally, you should never always believe people's box art paintings, because they can very easily be painting stuff in there that's not on the model. They shouldn't do for box art though. A proper box art artist will what do you call it? Well, so my notch still works, which is good. Oh, bollocks. That is less good. Oh, that's really annoying now. Having to have it lower means that the bag hangs there. Now that still works okay. But now I've either got to shorten the rope, which to be fair is not the end of the world. Let's do that. What's up, guys? Okay, I can live with that. Let's call that a win. say about that then. Right. So I've got about half an hour left of the stream. So maybe jump on and do some tents. Or do I do more trees? What do I do? Trees or tents? Trees or tents, people? What do we reckon? I don't really want to do too much more on the trees because they haven't given me any feedback on them. And I said yesterday, the tree they wanted was like, I don't know if you guys remember the old Lego ones, where it was like a little, the tree trunk was in sections, little Lego palm trees. Tree trunks in sections, you click them all together and then you put your leaves on the top. They wanted something like that, so they could build different height trees. Problem with doing that is there's no actual real trees in real life that look like that. The only trees that ever look like that in the stepped wedgie type things is the Lego ones. I suppose I could do it with that in sections. I wonder actually. Maybe I'll try that. Let's give it a go. Screw it, why not? Right, so I've got these rings of these things. So let's take these first ones here. There is the bottom of a tree. So if I do each of these sections now, So I want to cut this across here, just a smidge above that line. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Cracked then. Right, let's see if this actually works. Might not. We'll see. So as it stands now, every one of these is its own thing. Now I think, did I taper that tree, or was the tree straight? Oh, it's definitely got a taper. Okay, so this is the first one. Okay, so tree 6, for some reason I've got that duplicated. I can delete that now. No, I can't. Okay, so let's just do a quick save. So what I've done is I've duplicated the tree. Quick feedback from Mark is that he's not keen on the tree as it was. I don't know if he realises if it was like a template one. So I'll give him a call in a minute and just double check. But the modular tree idea might work. Let me just double check something. Okay, I'm not going to bother going through doing all the Boolean stuff, because if they don't like that tree, there's no point in pursuing it. Let's save that one. If they don't like it, I'll put it out on the website as a purchasable file or something like that. Make a little cluster myself, but. To do next, I need to just take that. Just going to inflate this up a touch. then we've got the little notches in there for the things to go into. Delete the bucket. So we've got the trough, we've got the tipper arm. Dipper Y-frame. And the dipper Wi-Fi is going to go on the base as well. I wonder, you know, if I put the two of them together, it's not going to work, is it? No, I need to keep the arm separate. Ouch. Right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy that. Making a folder. I was going to drop all my stuff into the folder just to tidy this up and organise it neatly up. Leave the rulers out. The horizontal one can. That's the vertical one. Oh, there's both vertical ones. Alright. Oh no, there is a horizontal one. Let's delete the horizontal one. Okay, so next thing to do is paste. Right, Oasis Small Well 1. Copy. Oasis Small Well 2. Right, and then here we're going to go to 450, 500, Dynamesh, Auto Group. Same again, 500 odd, Dynamesh, Auto Group. The big well. $500, Dynamesh and Group. Then we grab the, forget the tree for now. The dipper arm, we want the trough. And the dipper frame. That's dipper frame, Dynamesh, Auto Group, arm, Dynamesh and Group, trough is fine. Let's just hide the tower, hide the ruler. Pre-process all, let's get them exported, get them sent over, and then I'll let you lot get on your merry way. In fact, you know what, you don't need to see this, do you? We saw it yesterday, we've gone through this process loads of times already. I don't think it's going to benefit anybody. So, let's let you guys get off. Okay guys, thank you all for joining me tonight. Still processing to think about. I'm going to get off. I may or may not be back on tomorrow, we'll see how it's going, see what I'm working on. If it's not a day of running around sorting out the website, I'll jump on and do streams and stuff like that. I've got a bit of painting I need to get done as well, so there's potential I may jump on for a painting stream. No worries, Ginge, appreciate you being here at all, thanks mate. Yeah, if you guys need anything or you want to get in touch, just ping us a message on the Discord. And like I say, if I'm doing something that's not completely boring tomorrow, then yeah, I'll be on stream doing it. If it's admin, then I won't. Right guys, thank you all again for joining me. Be sure to go to the website and have a little peruse of my wares while the sale's still on. There's only about a week left for the 20% on resin and 40% on STL files. So if you do want to make use of the discounts, get in quick. And other than that, I'll see you all again soon. Thank you all again, and catch you later, taters. Adios, people.